Would you rather pay $300 for salmon sashimi or $30? I'm gonna show you a super easy Busy Mom's hack to cure this big salmon from Costco so you can have a sushi party at home for $30. Super, super cheap. And I'll show you 2 ways to do it. The Amy lazy way with fewer dishes, fewer cleanup, or the prettier way that other people may talk about. Either way, it's gonna save you a ton of money, it's going to be delicious, and none of us have ever gotten sick. Welcome back to This Japanese American Life, friends. This how to cure salmon has been one of the most popular YouTube shorts, so the request has been, can you do a longer one? So we're gonna have 2 ingredients, friends. That's it. Oh, I should show you the front. 2 ingredients, kosher salt and salmon. And actually this is steelhead trout, and I actually like the steelhead trout a lot, and it's usually cheaper. So that is a win-win, right? We had a thing where my husband was like, steelhead trout is not salmon. And you're absolutely right. Steelhead trout is not salmon. And people will come at me and say, that's not salmon. But you know what? You try the flavor and you tell me if it's significantly different for you, okay? I highly recommend this though. Go do it. If you're gonna come at me and say, oh, you didn't tell us that we're gonna need water to rinse or all that kind of stuff, okay, you need water, you need paper towels to tap, 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 or you can use a towel, and you're gonna need a freezer because you cannot skip that step if you want to make sure you stay healthy. Let's start with the lazy way. It is literally just curing it in this tray. So use a good amount of salt. You're gonna take it off anyway. You're gonna wash it off anyway. So just put a good amount and you're gonna do both sides. So once you put this salt, cover it completely right here. And try not to rub that poor thing there. But then we're just gonna flip it over. And I know people are gonna come at me and say, oh, you're using it in the same tray. But you know what? None of us have gotten sick in the past. Maybe I should have had help with someone to touch this box so I'm not touching it with salmon hands, but I'm being careful. All right, there we go. And it literally just sits in here for 1 hour. 1 hour, I recommend it in the fridge. I know some people leave it at room temperature, but I get a little nervous about that. So just this, super salty, right? But we're gonna wash it off, so don't worry. And then you just cover it back up in the same packaging it came in, just right here, and stick it in the fridge for 1 hour. Set that timer, friends, because I have not listened to my husband and not set the timer and completely forgot, and it gets salty. It's still edible, but it gets quite salty. So just salt it and then come back to it in an hour. The second way is basically the same. You salt it the same exact way, a liberal amount of kosher salt on both sides, but you're doing it on a plate, so you're not doing it in the same container that it came in. We're just going, I'm not even gonna cover this because it's an hour. I'm gonna do it like this because I don't wanna use a ton of plastic wrap, but I also cut it smaller because we are going to be putting it into little wash bins. So it's just easier to wash it like this. Whereas if you're doing it like this, I think it's easier because you have one big thing that you are just rinsing off in the sink while you're holding it. Totally easy, but that's just my opinion. Into the fridge they go for 1 hour. Now, if you're thinking, ooh, in an hour, we're gonna be done, we're gonna have sashimi, that is not the case because you always need to freeze your salmon, friends. If you do not freeze it, you are opening yourself up to bacteria, parasites, etc. Always, always freeze your salmon. We always have salmon in the freezer. Any sort of questions you have about this process, put it in the comments. It's been 1 hour, so let me show you what it should look like. Do you see that water coming out of it right here? That is exactly what you want because when you salt, that water is going to come out and that is gonna make your salmon taste so much better. So once that is done, you don't see the salt on it anymore, but this is great. So we are going to rinse it off. But first, let me show you the mama way, the Amy way first. We are just going to open this up rid of that. And this also, as you can see it better over here. Can you see that? So that is great. Might have also absorbed into this. Let me get rid of that too. And I'm just gonna rinse it in here. We're going to rinse it again, but just to do this, we're gonna just take cold water, make sure it's cold, not hot water, and just rinse off both sides. And then I'm gonna pick it up. It's a little slippery, but I like to do it just with one big thing instead of cutting it into pieces. So I just like to rinse this a bit. Before you freeze it, you want this to be as dry as possible. All the salt should be off, all the water should be out as much as possible. Let's get some paper towels. I like to just use paper towels, but you can use a clean kitchen towel if you would like as well. But just dab, dab, dab to make sure that all of that moisture is out. And we're gonna do both sides. And then get the foil ready. I guess I didn't tell you you needed foil too, but just make sure you have foil ready. You can even feel the difference because that salt is out. It is firmer. It is nicer. So that is what you are looking for. Once you've dabbed it, you want to cut it into whatever size you think you're going to use in one serving. Some people like to cut them really small. Our family eats like a lot. So I'm just going to cut this in half and then we're going to foil it up. Some people will do 2 bowls like this and put them through, but I'm just going to rinse it on this plate first and then do these bowls. So first, make sure to rinse off both sides. And this one's falling apart, actually. That's sad. But now we're doing this, where we're dipping it again in really clean water just to rinse it off. So here we go. Put it just through and onto another plate. All right, just do that. And as you can see, it gets kind of murky and dirty. So there we go. All right, and onto our clean plate, we put these and let's dry them off again with some paper towels. And if they're smaller, you can do the sandwich method like this, where you just sandwich it between and pat, pat, pat really good so that it is dry. Same process for these as the others. Just take out all the liquid and then put it on your foil so that we can wrap them up. Now let's just foil wrap it up. I like foil because then you can just open it up and bake it on this too, roast it on this. Some people use saran wrap, but I'm gonna use foil. Just make sure it's really, really tight. And there you have it, salmon ready to go. I like to just put it back into a bag if you have something like this, or if you want to put it into a Ziploc bag, you can absolutely do that as well and mark it. You can either write it on here or put a piece of paper in here that says it's salmon so you can easily identify it, but let's do that with all of them and put them in the freezer. There you have it. We are just going to stick this into the freezer, ready to go, leave it in there for at least a week. And just like that, you have sashimi grade salmon for super cheap instead of buying little trays of sashimi salmon for like $20 a piece. So was this helpful? Are you team Amy method or are you team fancy pants method? If you have any questions or comments, let me know in the comments, and If you want other Japanese food hacks, hit that subscribe button and go here for more Japanese recipes. See you in the next video. Mata ne!